Hello everyone, this is your host Masood Gatvi and welcome to St. Patrick's Day. In this documentary short film, we are going to find answers to three questions. Who was St. Patrick? Why do we celebrate his day? And what are the symbols and traditions of such an amazing day? Let's dive into a story.
St. Patrick was a saint of the church, originally from English territory, England. As a young boy, he was enslaved by some Irish people and then was taken back to Ireland. Eventually, he escaped and went back to England. During his time in Ireland, he had an experience, a conversion experience, and returning back to England, he, according to some stories and tradition, he entered as monasteries, eventual seminary, studied theology. Eventually, he became a bishop and was sent to Ireland to evangelize.
St. Patrick lived in the 5th century, in the 400s, in what we now would call England, in Britain. And when he was young, I think he was maybe 16, he was kidnapped by some people from what we now call Ireland and taken there as a slave and worked for several years as a shepherd before he escaped, came back to England. But he was Christian. He'd been raised Christian, and his faith actually grew while he was in slavery. So he later then came back to Ireland as a missionary to the Irish people.
St. Patrick was a Roman Briton citizen who, at the age of 16, was sold into slavery in Ireland. He turned to God during his time to make the things that were difficult for him, to make them easier in worshiping the God that the Christian God.
Additionally, we should mention two books of St. Patrick: Declaration, which is in Latin called Confessio, and the Letter to the Soldiers of Caraticus, which is in Latin called Epistola. Now that we have some information about St. Patrick's early life, let's move on to the second question, which is, why do we celebrate St. Patrick's Day?
Hi, my name is Lumpy. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day to celebrate the death of St. Patrick and also to be a little bit more Irish.
Hi, my name is Ileana Zaldivar, and St. Patrick's Day to me is a cultural, religious day for Americans and just everyone to have fun.
St. Patrick is celebrated for evangelizing Ireland.
Hi, I'm Joe. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day because, well, we're Irish.
It has become a celebration of all things Irish, not just St. Patrick and his Christian influence, but I think a celebration of Irish culture.
Hi, my name is Jennifer James. I'm Canyon Ridge High School color guard coach, and we celebrate St. Patrick's Day because it's a cultural and religious
We
event.
celebrate St. Patrick because of all of the things that he did, right? Obviously, he went back to Great Britain, became Christianized, and then went back to Ireland in order to Christianize the Irish people.
As our friends mentioned, celebrating St. Patrick is a religious and cultural event. Marching through town as one is the best way to show unity and being together. The first recorded cities in the US which celebrated St. Patrick's Day are St. Augustine, Florida, back to 1600, Boston, Massachusetts, 1737, and New York, 1762. And now time to answer the last question. What are the symbols and traditions of St. Patrick's Day?
According to tradition that he used was the shamrock or the three-leaf clover to explain who God is. Drinks, they do also food, Irish dances.
Originally, the color associated with St. Patrick would have been blue, but I think now because of the Emerald Isle idea and the Irish culture, we think of green as the symbol of Ireland. Certain foods are associated with St. Patrick's Day, corned beef and cabbage for one. We associate the shamrock with Ireland, with St. Patrick, and it's legend that St. Patrick used the three leaves of the shamrock as an illustration of the Trinity of God in Christian tradition, the three parts of God. And there are other Irish associations, things like leprechauns.
The symbols of St. Patrick's Day are obviously the color green, which are supposed to represent Ireland, the rolling hills, the grasses of Ireland. The leprechaun is one. The biggest one to me is that shamrock. I think the shamrock is such a big piece because it ties the two together between St. Patrick and his Christianized ideals, his values, in explaining the Holy Trinity.
In Irish folklore, leprechaun is a little body, and if you're lucky enough to get one of these small creatures, then they will show you the hiding place of a treasure. Here in University of Notre Dame, Indiana, they consider leprechaun as the official mascot. On top of these symbols, we should add two more. Number one, the Irish music, and specifically harp, the instrument. Ireland is the only country in the world that embedded the harp into politics and culture, as you can find it in this iconic bridge of Samuel Beckett in Dublin, which resembles a harp. And number two, the Celtic or Celtic knot. This is a graphic Irish symbol that can be found in everything in Irish society and culture, from gravestone and Celtic crosses to tattoos and metalwork, and is still being used in architecture and designing. St. Patrick stayed in Ireland for the rest of his life, until he died on March 17, 461, and was buried in a small town called Downpatrick in Down County. By the end of his life, almost all Ireland converted to Christianity. The message he brought to Irish people not only united them as a one big nation, but also became universal. Every year, many countries around the world celebrate St. Patrick's on March 17th to share their happiness in memory of him. Thanks for being with me in this short trip and journey. I hope you found this documentary helpful and informative. Happy Green Day, and God bless you all.